Hey y'all, welcome back to Keeping Up with KJ. I'm Kanisha, a first-time home buyer who is transforming my first home one DIY project at a time. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my experience as I lay LVP flooring for the very first time. So if you're looking to update your flooring and wondering is it a beginner-friendly DIY project, then keep watching. One of the biggest things I wanted when I was looking to see what kind of flooring I was going to do to upgrade my upstairs, I knew I was starting with my guest bedroom, but I didn't want to just focus on the guest bedroom. I wanted to run this flooring throughout the entirety of the upstairs. But it was really important for me to make sure that there was a seamless look when it came to this flooring. I didn't want any transition pieces. So this did take some planning on the front end with just figuring out where was the longest section throughout the entire upstairs, which means that there was a line. I did a chalk line between the guest bedroom and my master suite, making sure that that line was going to be completely straight, building that out, and then building backwards in the guest bedroom, and I will show you that. But I just really love the fact that the seamless look, it is a little bit harder to do. You do have to do the entire space all at one time, which makes things a little bit more complicated, but I promise you it is worth it for that flawless finish look. Okay, so I'm going to give you one last view of what these floors look like with nothing on them before I add in my new flooring by Flooret, and I'm so excited.
If you would like some helpful carpet removal tips, that video will be linked down in the description. Y'all, I'm super excited for y'all to see how Flooret's LVP collection has transformed this space. So don't hate me. I know this clip is blurry, but I wanted you to be able to see how I use this roll across the longest part of the open floor to achieve a seamless look. The entire upstairs will be built around this row.
For me to try to get you to be able to see this board because it was not in the last clip. But so what I did was I took this off piece and then I screwed it into the subfloor to act kind of as my stopping block. So as I am using my tapping block back and forth and I'm going backwards to achieve this seamless look, things don't shift this way, okay?
So I do want to be transparent. I did have help on this flooring project in the rest of these rooms, but for this space, I wanted to make sure that this project was doable for one person and that I actually knew what I was doing. But if you're looking to do multiple spaces at one time, I highly recommend trying to recruit some help because it's just going to help speed up the process and make it a lot easier on you. Next up, let's talk supplies. So I definitely think it's more cost affordable to get a flooring installation kit that will typically come with a flooring hammer, spacers, a pull bar, and a tapping block. For PPE or protective equipment, you're definitely going to need some knee pads, and I highly recommend some gloves as well. When it comes to cutting your planks, most of these cuts can be made with a carpenter square or a speed square for your straight edge, and then using a box cutter to score and snap the planks. For your more complicated cuts, you can use a table saw or a jig saw. When it comes to connecting the boards together, they have interlocking edges that allow you to simply tap the planks into place. For your end pieces, you're not going to be able to use your tapping block, so you're going to have to use your pull bar to tap the pieces into place.
Okay, so when it comes to cutting your boards when you get to the end of the wall, So if you look here, this is how much space I have left on this row, okay? Some of the important things to know when you are measuring how big this space is, you don't need a tape measure. You can just use the board that you're going to put in that place, okay? But what you need to make sure is that you have the board backwards or upside down when you go to measure, okay? So correctly, okay, these boards flow this way. Okay, with the thicker side of the tongue and groove going that way. Okay, if I were to cut this piece like this, I would cut here, okay, and then there would be no tongue and groove for this to lock into. Okay, so I've got to turn it upside down, okay, cut this side, and then this side will end up going toward the wall. Okay, I also make sure that I put a spacer in place. Okay, and then I mark the edge, okay, of right here. Okay, and that right there is where I'm going to make my cut. Now when we're talking about cutting our board, you don't need any fancy anything for your straight cuts. Okay, I am using a jig saw, but that's going to be for my harder, more advanced cuts. Okay, but for a straight cut, all you need is a box cutter, and ideally you would have a speed square, just because it's small, it's going to be easier to work with. But I have this carpenter square, which is a little bit larger, and so it still is going to work. Okay, you just need a 90-degree angle. Okay, so I line that up right where I need to make that cut. Make sure I have 90 degrees right there. Okay, you really want to make sure that you are holding your square, your straight edge in place, because you do not want that to move. You do not want to have to make more than one cut, okay? Make that one swipe. Flip your board over. Place your hand a little bit behind where that cut is made, and then just snap it. Okay. And because this has underlayment, you just gotta make a quick little swipe. And then here is that missing piece from the last row we just talked about. Okay. Now, as far as getting that piece in, you want to push it in at an angle. Push it flat down, okay? Use your tapping block to knock it into place, okay? And as you can see, my tapping block doesn't fit into this crevice over here, okay? So most of your flooring kits are gonna come with this piece that allows you to then push that into place from the edge, okay? Then I just put my spacer in to make sure I'm allowing for my expansion. And that row is complete. Before I go any further in this video, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Flooret. So there were a few things that I was looking for when it came to the flooring for this project, and Flooret literally knocked all of those things out of the park. Number one for me, I wanted to make sure that I was getting a product that was DIY friendly, because I knew I was going to be doing this project myself, and this was my first time installing LVP flooring, so I wanted a product that was going to be easy to work with. I also have a pet, but I knew that this flooring is going to go throughout the entirety of my home, and so I wanted to make sure that I had a product that was going to be scratch resistant and then also 100% waterproof. And Flooret did an amazing job with creating these vinyl planks. Literally, you can see the texture on the planks, you can feel the texture on the planks, so I really love the fact that it looks so realistic. Flooret is not your normal LVP company when it comes to their durability and their wear and tear. They have anywhere from a 20 to 40 mil wear layer, which is way above industry standards, and I'm super happy about that because that's going to be a large selling point when I do go to sell my home. And I also have a dog, and I just want to make sure that I'm not getting any scratches or messing anything up in the meantime while I am living here. Flooret has a wide variety when it comes to colors and plank sizes as well. So whatever you are looking for, I promise you there is something that Flooret has that you will like. If you're ready to update the flooring in your home, use the code KanishaFlooret for 50% off your next Flooret sample order.
When you're installing LVP, your goal is to have a staggered pattern. So to achieve this, what you want to do is you want to take your cut off of your last row. So what that means is that when you finish a row, you're going to have a piece of board left over. You're going to use that piece on your first board for your next row. This is going to help you achieve a staggered look, which looks more natural and realistic, and not having all of your planks end in the exact same place on each row. Another tip for when you are installing LVP flooring is you want to make sure that you're opening multiple boxes at the same time to ensure that you don't have a repeated pattern. So one box can actually have multiple of the same pattern. So on Flooret's website, they have an option to include an extra 8% in your square footage calculation, and I absolutely recommend that you do it. So you're going to have planks that are going to break, you're going to make mistakes, and you just want to make sure that you're not having boxes that are going to have multiple of those same repeating patterns. So that way it's literally the same plank near a plank that looks just like that.
I am finally on my last row up against this wall, and then that will lead me into this closet. So for this last row, I've already done my first piece. I do not have a table saw, so what I am doing is I am using my jig saw. Of course, a table saw will be easier, it will be quicker. The line doesn't have to be perfectly straight, it just needs to be cut, so that way when I install my new baseboards, you will not see the edge of the vinyl plank anyway. Okay, so I'm going to use my jig saw. It's going to take me a little bit longer, but it will get done.
For me personally, the hardest part about this project was working on the roll that was closest to the wall, and then also maneuvering around the door jambs just to make sure that I was getting that flawless, seamless look that I was going for. And honestly, y'all, putting down flooring is physically exhausting. Like, what you're actually doing isn't that complicated, but the actual torture that is on your body from just literally being on your hands and knees for possibly 1, 2, 3, 4 days, depending on how large your project is, can just definitely get to be exhausting. But on the flip side of that, y'all know that if I can figure out how to do it myself, I'm definitely going to, because that's just going to save you so much money when it comes to getting someone in your home and to do these projects and install these things. That can definitely just add up.
Alrighty, so I'm really close to being finished. I just have this area back here to complete, but I need to go get me something to eat, make a quick little store run, and then the goal is to finish this tonight. So let's see. So now that I am moving toward the wall and most of the room in the closet is complete, I now can go ahead and remove this board that I was using as my baser to make sure the flooring wasn't moving as I was using my tapping block. And then just remove that. And then now I can continue with my row. Okay, so when it comes to determining where your edge piece or your last row, the width of that piece needs to be, here's a tip. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a full board, okay, and place it exactly where it would be, but on your last full row, okay. So this is my next board right here, okay, and it would, once I'm ready, it's going to go right here. So I've slid it back in its exact position on my last full row. And then I have a scrap piece that is a full width board. Okay. So I'm going to put my spacer in place, put that full width board right there. And then I am going to put a mark right there. Okay. I'm going to do that in the middle of the board. And then I'm going to do it toward the end here, and then I'm going to do it again toward this end right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line straight across here. Okay, and now I'm going to cut that section off, and then that remaining piece should fit right in this spot right here. So as you can see, installing flooring is not for the weak. But if you're willing to put in the work, this is definitely a beginner-friendly DIY project that will instantly elevate your home and save you a lot of money by doing this installation process yourself. If you have any questions about Flooret or the installation process, be sure to drop them in the comment sections below, and I will help you as much as I can. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because there's a lot more DIY projects to go, and it's time to start keeping up with KJ.